Now, amidst fears of a possible collapse of the Gaza ceasefire, Hamas has released 3 more of the Israeli hostages that it had in its custody, in exchange for over 300 Palestinians who had been languishing in Israeli prisons. Now, Hamas brought out the hostages onto a stage in front of a crowd in Gaza's southern city of Khan Yunis, where they made statements into a microphone before they were handed over to the Red Cross. Now, the freed hostages included the Israeli-American Sagui Dekelchen, the Israeli-Russian Sasha Trofanov, and the Israeli-Argentinian Eyar Horn. Now, the Israeli army also later released images of the Israeli-Argentine hostage Eyar Horn reuniting with his mother and brother after his release from Hamas. The 46-year-old Eyar Horn and his brother were seized from his home in Nir Oz kibbutz. Not long after the hostage release, the Israeli authorities released a busload of the Palestinian prisoners from Israel's Offer prison, who were greeted by cheering crowds in the occupied West Bank city of Ramallah. Israel has confirmed that it had released 369 Palestinians from its prisons in total. Now, Hassan Avis was one of the released Palestinian prisoners, and Hamas said that the United States, a mediator in the Gaza Truce deal, must ensure that Israel abides by the agreement to secure the release of hostages who are still in the custody of Hamas. Now, the American President Donald Trump has also emphasized that he'll take a pretty stern approach towards the Gaza Strip. Experts are now indicating that the American president will most likely choose Saudi Arabia to attain his vision for Gaza. Now, Saudi Arabia is, of course, making waves as a mediator and fast positioning itself as a front-runner from West Asia and the international community. The Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman was first on Donald Trump's dial list after the Republican leader took the seat at the Oval Office. A USA Today report has also highlighted Donald Trump's extensive business ties with Saudi Arabia, which includes potential billion-dollar real estate deals to Saudi-funded Live Golf Tour. The reports also suggest that Donald Trump has earned up to $160 million from foreign business ventures just last term, with a significant portion linked to Riyadh. Saudi Arabia was also one of Donald Trump's very first foreign visit destinations during his 2017 presidency. Recently, Donald Trump has also suggested that Saudi Arabia as a middle ground to meet the Russian President Vladimir Putin and reach a peace deal for the Russia-Ukraine war. All right, now to give us more perspective on this, we're joined by Mr. Adrian Calomel, who's a fellow at the Arabian Peninsula Institute, and he's joining us live on this broadcast. Mr. Calomel, this is a ceasefire that hangs by a thread. There is a lot of skepticism about whether this ceasefire can still persist into its second phase. In your assessment, do you think this is a ceasefire that can last?
That's a very good question, and I'm more on the cynical side and more skeptical that this is a ceasefire that can last from phase 1 and make it to the beginning of phase 2. There have been violations. There's just not a. There's been things that have been asked as far as who's being released, individuals that are being released. You see that the Israelis are showing, I believe, a great amount of goodwill in releasing. When you look at it, it's basically 1 to 100 on some of these exchanges for people that have been kidnapped versus people who are really in charge, been charged on terrorism charges in many cases. So,
right.
Hamas is going to continue to play the propaganda game. Mm-hmm. And I think at a certain point they run out of hostages, because I do not believe that you have as many live hostages behind in Gaza as are claimed.
All right. Now, Donald Trump, when he was talking about his plan for the Gaza Strip, he spoke of a redevelopment of the Gaza Strip, possibly as a Riviera of the Middle East, by expelling all Palestinians from the Gaza Strip. Egypt and Jordan have flatly rejected this proposal. by the American president. There is to be a summit, including that with the Saudi Arabians. In your assessment, do you think the Saudis will have any kind of, they want to play ball with this proposal that's been put forth by the American president?
That is a really difficult question, and I don't see the Saudis wanting to have this on their hands. This plan, and we have to remember, this may be a moot point, this plan, because we may not make it to other phases of this hostage situation and ceasefire negotiations. But it does put, when you look at this issue of taking Palestinians out of Gaza and then relocating them to Egypt and Jordan, you're putting them in two of the countries that are going to be, it's going to really threaten the stability of those states. I think if anybody should be bearing some of the burden in taking in people, it should be Qatar, a nation such as that fund Hamas to the tune of billions of dollars. They clearly have an agenda there, and we need to take a look at the history of Gaza. You know, it was 73. It was annexed by Israel just in a response to make sure it was never used as a corridor for a conventional military army to come through. Then it was settled by Israel, and then there was a land for peace deal. And then so we've seen over 20 years what the plan that's been in place. It doesn't work. It can't continue to work. We've seen these flare-ups until October 7th with this ultimate flare-up.
All right, we're out of time. Thank you very much, Mr. Calmel, with that perspective.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.